Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. So that's the channeled song that's been coming through today pretty heavily. And it feels like there has been a resurfacing of like old thought patterns for the collective of people I'm tapping into today. It feels like after the holiday and after the celebration, there were some reminders of relationships that did not come with you or did not reach out to you or um yeah, like something about people coming into your mind who you didn't connect with this holiday season, and that bringing up some type of like sadness. And I feel like whoever I'm talking to, you're definitely trying to stay positive and you're trying to kind of be more positive as much as possible, but it does feel like those things are still kind of resurfacing for you in some ways. And when those thoughts about those losses or those disconnections at this point in time are surfacing, it feels like you're starting to doubt yourself, like it's knocking your confidence in some ways. So it's making you doubt yourself, it's making you doubt your journey, it's making you feel like you're not good enough in some ways. Like there's like this kind of worthiness knock that I'm feeling when it comes to these certain old situations, old relationships kind of coming back up. And Spirit is saying that they're not coming back up to torture you, nor are they coming back up to make you feel bad. They're coming back up because there's a part of you that needs to shift the way that you are perceiving these things and the way that you're making sense of them. Like what just came through was kind of like they didn't like me. There's something wrong with me. They don't like who I am. Like there's certain beliefs that are connected to these things that are coming up that are keeping them in this cycle of coming back up over and over again so that they can be seen correctly. And the reality is that not every situation is meant to come with you. And we are the determination of that. We are the ones who get to decide who we stay connected to and who we don't. And this is bringing up something around like how sometimes we feel like we have to disconnect from people to protect ourselves, and how that can carry a lot of different emotions of guilt and shame and different things like that. And what's coming through is kind of this idea that you know yourself best and you know what you need best. And so if you feel like you need to put distance between you and a certain situation because that is you taking care of yourself, then that's your truth. And not everybody is going to understand that, nor are they going to agree with you, but it's not their life, nor is it their truth. So it's not theirs to agree with. The right people will understand. The right people will let you be who you are, right? Without judgment. But it's not something that other people are meant to understand. I think that's something that feels really societal for me in some ways, where, we want other people to understand where we're coming from. We want other people to agree with us, right? And this is still attaching ourselves to external pieces. And the reality is that not everybody is going to understand or agree. And That is actually not what is needed in like a healthy relationship dynamic. The other person doesn't need to agree or understand you as much as they need to be able to hold space for you and let you do your thing, right? Without judgment and in a safe way. They don't have to agree and they don't have to be on your side. Being on your side doesn't mean that they agree with everything that you're saying or doing. Being on your side means that they are listening and holding space and care about you and let you be you. They let you feel what you need to feel. They let you say what you need to say. They hold space for you in the ways that you move. And you'll find people in your life who do understand where you're coming from because they've been through similar things. But just because someone doesn't mean that they're not supporting. Supporting isn't always 100% agreeing or 100% taking sides, right? Supporting is holding space. Supporting is doing that in a not judgmental, kind, and compassionate way. And not trying to shift or push one way or the other, just letting that person do what they need to do and be where they need to be and feel what they need to feel, right? I think often we get caught up in this idea that you're not supporting me if you don't agree with me, or you're not supporting me if you're not on my side. And that is a very black and white way of thinking, and also a little bit of like a victim perspective in some ways. And it comes from like a codependent kind of way of being. And perfectionism, if we're being honest, that came through very clearly. Like these are kind of those ways of thinking, and it doesn't give people the opportunity to be who they are, right? Like it's so interesting because you want this person to support you and love you, right? So that you can be who you truly are without judgment and be completely free to be who you are. But then you want them to agree with you, and that keeps them from being who they are and letting them have their own experience, right? Like counterintuitive. Like, do you see how that doesn't make sense? Like, what you're wanting isn't what you're putting out. I think sometimes it's hard for us to see those things. But in this case, you're wanting people to be supportive of you, wanting people to love you for who you are, right? You're wanting people to love you for where you're at and give you space to do your own thing. But then you're asking people to agree with you to show loyalty, right? And I think that's like more toxic loyalty than actual loyalty. So it's interesting. I didn't think the message was going to go there, but it did. That often happens. But, coming back to these things are being brought up for you to kind of be able to look at them differently. So maybe this is like one of the ways that you're being asked to kind of see how you're reflecting and mirroring certain things without maybe realizing it, right? This is a little bit of like shadow work, I guess, in some ways, and really being able to turn towards yourself and look at yourself honestly. When it comes to these things being brought back up, they're not being brought back up for you to feel bad about yourself or not good enough or like you're not liked. But they're for you to be able to see these things more clearly. They're for you to be able to have more compassion for yourself and for others. And to be able to understand that everybody's journey is different. And no one's journey looks the same exactly, to be honest. There might be little like things that are similar, but it will never look exactly the same. And it's not supposed to. And I'm being called to share, like, even when children grow up in certain families, like if you had siblings or cousins or whatever, right? And you grew up in a certain family dynamic and you become adults, You did not experience that dynamic or that family the same way as your sibling. None of you did. You experienced pretty similar things, and yet you still didn't like have the same like perspective of how it happened, right? Or you didn't um I mean, even when you talk about it, your experiences probably are different. Your stories are probably different. The way you made meaning of it was probably different, right? That's the strength of our consciousness. Our consciousness is so, 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 so powerful. And everybody has a different consciousness that they're working through, right? We all have different lessons that we brought into this life to resolve and work through. And that does shade and shift the lens in which we see life through. And so there are many different things you could go through with somebody else and have very different experiences because consciousness plays a role in that, right? We all are here to learn certain lessons, right? We're all here to experience certain lessons. And some of these lessons we've been kind of carrying for many lives, right? Many experiences here. And everybody's in a different place of that peeling of the onion of lives, right? Or in that peeling of the onion of the lesson, right? Like when I talk about learning lessons, I in learning things and growth, I talk about that spiral, right? Everybody's in a different place in that spiral. And so their ability to see things a certain way, perceive certain information, it's all going to be different depending on where you are on that spiral. And almost no one is in the same place as someone else when it comes to like being in that spiral. And then you also have complex factors that also play into that, right? So, I mean, we are complex beings. We are complex beings. And the reality is that your experience is not going to be like someone else's, and it's not meant to. It's meant to be uniquely yours. We are all unique, and we all have our own little unique blueprint that is meant for us. Our highest timeline doesn't look the same as others. How we get there doesn't look the same as others. Our purpose, even if our purpose is something that other people are, it does not look the same. Like, think about what I do, right? I'm a psychic channel. I channel the light. I channel messages. My psychic readings don't sound the same as other people's, right? We're all so different and unique in our own blueprint and ways that we move through the world. And so, what I'm being called to say is like the way that one person might become successful may not be the way that you do. We're not here to follow someone else's blueprint. We're here to be able to recognize and acknowledge and follow our own. Our journey is not meant to look like others. The way we become who we are meant to be does not look like others. And when you're trying to build something for yourself and you are trying to follow someone else's script or follow someone else's path or follow someone else's process and it doesn't feel authentic to you, like it feels yucky. Like, have you ever had that experience where it's just like yuck? Like, I no, that doesn't feel good for me. That's because it's not meant for you. Not to say that the path is not meant for you, but the process and the way that that person is teaching you it is not meant for you. That's your soul telling you, no, that does not fit. That's not where I'm at. The other piece of this too is sometimes that might mean that you're just in a different process. I actually, I'm thinking about recently, I had a client conversation and they were like not wanting to have their purpose revolve around making money. And I said something to them about, well, that's where you are right now. right? And eventually that may shift, but that's where you are right now, and that's okay. And you're allowed to be in that space. And so maybe this is where you need to start so that you can figure out what you would be able to make money doing that you'll find out from doing that thing that's not making money. So I don't know if this is really making sense, but I guess what I'm saying is like everybody's in a different process and stage and things, right? And it's about meeting people where they're at. And it's about meeting yourself where you're at, right? And so if something feels yucky, then you're just not there yet, and that's totally okay. So that's information that you need to follow where you're being guided and what feels right and good for you, and the rest will come into play. The rest will play out the way that it's meant to. Oftentimes, we try so hard to control the outcome and to control our lives and how things play out and where they go. And the reality is like we are holding so tightly that we need to release to let miracles in. We need to trust to let miracles happen. We need to trust source, universe, God, divine. We need to trust ourselves. And part of trusting ourselves is when we are doing something and it doesn't feel right, it's because something is not aligned for you in that moment. That doesn't mean that it will forever not feel right, but in that moment it doesn't. So it's not the next step for you. It's not supposed to be your next movement. And that's okay. You're just not there yet. And it's funny because I feel like this awakening journey, uh, it's a long one. And what I mean by that is we always think we're further along than we actually are. and and that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. But it's also about letting things unfold the way that they're meant to unfold and meeting yourself where you're at. That's why a lot of the journey is about coming back to the present moment, coming back to yourself. What do you feel about this? What do you think about this? Where are you at right now? What do you want for yourself right now? Right? When you start to live intentionally in that way, where you follow your intuition to what your day looks like as it unfolds, instead of following a strict routine or a strict outline, right? You open yourself up to just so much more magic. And so I just think that this collective just needs to hear that you're exactly where you're meant to be. You're on the exact right track. You're moving in the exact right direction. And let go of the doubt. If you're having doubt come up, maybe that's just not the right path for you. Try something different. That's something that really is feeling like it needs to come through is try something different. Maybe try something that you haven't tried before. See how it goes. If you hate it, you never do it again. If you love it, then you learn something about yourself, right? Either way, you learn something about yourself, right? And that's what we're here to do. But to find your path forward, it's about taking those risks on yourself and trying and seeing how it goes. So you're on the right track. Notice the baby steps that you're making. Notice the small little movements that you've made because they're actually huge. And as you continue to pile those up, that's how the big steps are made, right? So I'm going to leave the message there. And if you do feel called to work with me, you can take a look at my bio. I got some really cool prompt journals in my bio as well that you can take a look at to help you kind of like move through codependency. That's one thing you would like to work through. I'm putting out a perfectionistic one soon, and I will be putting out an anger one soon and how to work through anger and what it's really telling us. So I do love you guys so much, and I hope you have a beautiful day.